Alright, 8th garden tour of 2024. We're starting here with the pink lemonade blueberry, which we know it's not doing great. I'm not really sure if it's dead or alive. It could be dead, it could be dormant. It's been struggling for a while, so it's really just a wait and see what happens type deal for it. But this dahlia is just thriving on its own. Looks really great. This one I started from seed back in the spring. It bloomed, it was great, and then it kind of died back through summer, and now it's resprung, and you can see there's a flower bud right in there. So I haven't really touched it, not even like moved this pot. I just left it there, and it's just done its own thing. And then here we have two more blueberries. This back one here, this is kind of my favorite. It's done the best for me with minimal care, but I did repot it last fall or spring, and I kind of damaged it when I was repotting it. I was just trying to raise it up a little bit, and I really kind of damaged the plant, and that's why you see like this dead half. It was a much bigger plant. So I tried to plant another one in there, and just like the pink lemonade, I'm not really sure if that is dead or if it's just dormant. So, because you can see this one is also kind of doing that same coloring, and I'm fairly certain that this one is still alive. So I'm hoping it's just dormant, but we'll see next spring. Here's the guava. We did get a touch of, we've gotten a little bit cooler, and I do feel like the guava may have taken a bit of a hit from that with the discoloration or the changing of colors of the newer leaves there. What has done really well though is this cherry tree here, Barbados cherry tree, and it is even trying to bloom, which they really don't grow here. So I am quite surprised that it's even trying to bloom right now. Those are the only two that I've seen, but it's two more than I thought I would see. And then here's our fig. And we'll come over here to our sweet potatoes, which are still doing really well. I think at some point soon I should probably dig them up, but they're still going, so I've left them alone. And then we have the sorrel, which you can see have bloomed and closed up, so thinking soon-ish it'll be time to harvest those. I think this one probably has the biggest ones, and I'm going to stake it up as well. I think the storm knocked it over, but look at how big those are. So that one will be staked up in a little bit. Then in this other bed here, the Gomphrena has been trying its best, but I think it is basically done now. We have scallion there. We have the Castro bean, and this purple basil has come back to life. It's looking really great. This chocolate scotch bonnet is trying to survive there. And then we have a hollyhock, another Castro bean, more scallion. That was a shishito, which just did not make it. I might see if I can maybe save the roots itself of the plant, because it's semi still alive. Not sure. This was a pepper plant of some type that it was just a free seed pack back there, and it's semi still alive. The scotch bonnet is coming back to life. We have the basil here in the middle. We have the pincushion laying down here. This is a purple tomatillo, which, because it doesn't have a pollinator buddy, it's really not going to do anything, but it keeps on flowering, keeps on trying. I almost feel like those might be like a little fruit trying to set, but it shouldn't really be pollinated because there's nobody for it to cross-pollinate with. Another pincushion. That's the Spanish lavender with the Gomphrena next to it. This hollyhock is doing really well despite bug damage we can see over there. And another Castro bean. If we come over here, so these pots have actually been planted. This has garlic in it, this one, and the one back here. And they were planted garlic that I had saved from the spring harvest, or I guess last year's planting. harvest them in spring. I saved a clove and that got split up between these two. So we'll see what happens. And I saved the one that did the best for me. Then this bed, this has really been the problematic bed, but the blue sage is doing really well. Looks great. And then we have some carrots that I still just have not harvested. It looks like I missed a potato when I harvested a few months ago because it's growing. And then we have a volunteer Mexican sunflower, some mint, and a cucumber there. But what most recently was in here was sweet potatoes, and they look like at least the leaves have disappeared. But maybe when I go digging to dig up that potato, I'll probably find some sweet potatoes. At least I'll hopefully find some sweet potatoes as well. And if we come over into our next bed here, we have the grape just hanging on. But really the star of the show in this bed is this Scotch bonnet, which is looking fantastic and has some baby ones on it and some that are still kind of small but developing some color to them. It turns out that this is a chocolate Scotch bonnet. I thought it was a regular Scotch bonnet, but yeah, with their coloring, it's a chocolate Scotch bonnet. We have the Turkish pepper here, which it's still producing, it's still trying its best. We have a volunteer kale. We have the Martini lavender agastache and more scallion. And behind this massive Scotch bonnet is a jalapeno, which is doing well and producing back there. And then I think there's also a serrano. You see that's more of a serrano shaped pepper. And they've just kind of fallen into the Scotch bonnet. Then here we have the huckleberry, which I'm like, I just want to cut it down because it's not really doing much, but I think they're actually ripe. So I think I'm gonna cut and harvest everything and just cut the plant basically all the way back. If it springs back, great, but I think I just need to kind of clear out some space here so I can actually get into the peppers and especially the jalapenos back there. There's a little strawberry still back there. There's Scotch bonnet, which is flowering as well. It's gonna try. Basil, and then we have bell peppers here. We got one bell pepper, and then this one down here has another bell pepper on it. And then over into this bed, we have the Cuban oregano or coulis thyme. We have the fever grass or lemongrass, more basil. This is an eggplant, and I think it's also kind of trying. It's a little flower. And then here's another jalapeno with jalapenos that I need to harvest. And then we have the chard, Swiss chard, and more scallion. All right. And back here in the distance, we can see that the pomegranate is still doing well over there, basically on its own. I haven't really done anything to it because I can't really get to it at this point. So it's been pretty much on its own like all year. It's doing well though. It's about 3 years in, so I think it's well established now. This bed is just covered in raspberries, but I will be kind of containing them a little bit. So like this stuff here will end up going. That's a volunteer leek. This is another blue sage. I tried to use this bed kind of like a nursery bed for stuff that I want to plant in a different area of my garden. And this blue sage is the only one that survived. I planted like 5 or 6 in here. And then we have another strawberry right there. All of this is the ebony raspberry. And then we have a tomato on this side, which is again trying. These are beefsteak tomatoes, so I really don't think that they're gonna produce anything, but they're trying. Here we had cherry tomatoes, and you can see, it did produce and they did ripen a couple things. And in the back there is the papaya, which would be getting close. I think it is trying to fruit, which I'm a little surprised at because also papaya doesn't really grow here. But they were on clearance and I was like, I'm going to give it a shot. It's doing really well though. We have basil here. We have a, this is a Korean mint here in the front. And again, more huckleberry. And this one also has some ripe ones. So I'm thinking if I just collect from all the plants, I'll have enough to do something with it. I think they recommend that you make jam or something, so I might try that. More basil that's gone to seed. This is another one of the Thai peppers, and I will be growing them again next year. I liked it. You can see a little pepper is back there. But I think any kind of hint of colder weather, the plant did not like. I think that's when it started to struggle a bit. And then if we come over into this bed, we have a dahlia, which is doing really well. No flowers on it, but it just keeps on growing. It's all over there. Another lavender martini agastache. We have chives back there. I think this one here is a snapdragon. That's kind of tipping out of that bed. More basil. More scallion. This is calendula. There's a shishito, which is doing the best. It's producing, which is really great. This is my climbing rose, which I'm going to try and train onto those sides. And another very massive huckleberry. And that is it for the 8th garden tour of 2024.